Before the Riderflex podcast episode of the day, a quick word from our sponsor and friends at Marketing 360.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
Shea, what's up? How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I've been watching you might want to scoot closer to that mic so I can make sure I hear you just a little bit.
All right.
Just a little bit. Thank you. I've been watching the progress of Buderflys. I'm an earbud guy, so I'm watching. I need better earbuds. I want better earbuds. So every time I see you pop up on social media, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Let me see where they're at. So I thought we should bring you back to the Riderflex podcast and give us an update. Tell us. Well, first of all, you might want to give an overview of just Buderflys and kind of the quick story. You don't have to go into the full thing because I know you've been on the show, but give us the quick story, then maybe give us an update.
Okay. Well, first, thanks for having me back.
Yes.
So Buderflys is an earbud that's different than anything else in the market in that it flexes and conforms to your ear while it moves. The human ear is constantly moving when we are talk, chew, and exercise. Our earbuds will flex and move with your ear as it moves. The earbud industry really started about 14 years ago, and everyone in the space uses the same hard plastic clamshell material design. That's because about 14 years ago, they were designed for like a half an hour's worth of music. The way we consume content and the content we're consuming has changed dramatically since then. But no one has changed much, and no one is going after a different vertical besides that of the music industry. So we set out to build an earbud that can comfortably be worn for long periods of time, and that is optimized for the spoken word. So our speaker system is a pretty high-end speaker system that comes from the hearing aid industry. Okay. And so for that reason, we have a pretty clean, pristine sound that allows for big music and sound effects, but also allows for clarity of the spoken word. For that reason, those people who are heavy earbud users are doing Zoom calls all day, are they making phone calls all day, they are in between times, they're listening to audiobooks and podcasts. And so they're very heavy in the spoken word space. They our demographic loves music, but generally listens to music on things like big speakers or the big cans. So we designed specifically for this. We are currently launching this week.
Oh, you're launching this week. This week.
So they're starting to run off the line. We just sent our first shipment out, which is pretty exciting.
By the way, we're recording this on May 14th. We'll try to get this episode out as soon as possible, especially since you're launching this week.
Yeah.
All right. They're coming. They're being manufactured, coming off the line right now, today.
Yes, today.
Wow.
There's arguably, we have just navigated the biggest crisis in supply chain in the industrial world, right? And we, as a little guy, we still were able to make it happen with really high-end components. And we're coming off the line this week, but our box manufacturer, we had to get bumped for bigger guys. I'm so bummed. But anyway, so our box
can't ship. So nobody's getting shipped this week. When do you think you'll ship?
Yeah, I mean, we've shipped a few because we had a few prototype boxes, but we will ship right now. The 25th is when we can ship them out. So the box will get to the manufacturer, but I mean, that's how it goes in the manufacturing space. It's so crazy because after all we went through to have the box, the thing that delayed us, it never occurred to me, but it's a beautiful box. So I'm excited.
Talk about your buds a little bit. So they conform to your ear. So what is that? Is it like a little sci-fi thing? Like I put it in and it kind of squeezes against what is it? How does that work exactly?
So it's called a shore derivative, but it's really squishy material.
Okay.
Our shore value is very low, and so it really flexes with your ear. It also has a nice property that the longer you wear it, it heats up with your body temperature. Ooh. So it's even more comfortable.
Oh,
so it's really nice. Like I'll wear them all day and I forget they're in. I mean, it gets embarrassing when you're like talking to someone at the grocery store. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so rude. I have my earbuds in still, but you forget about them. So that's nice.
Well, I mean, do they stay in? I mean, I got three problems with my earbuds. Number one, like you said, they get uncomfortable after a while. Number two, they fall out. And number three, they don't stay charged up long enough.
Yeah. So actually we have solved for all three of those. Our first, and those are the biggest issues, by the way, you're not alone. Those are the biggest issues in the earbud industry, particularly since the way they were designed is different. The use case for them is different than the way we use them today, right? So we're using them for much longer periods of time and for different activities than they were originally built for or designed for. Ours, because of the material design, do tend to stay in, don't fall out as much as all other earbuds, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Our first earbud, the Curiosity earbud that's coming off the line right now, is a wireless earbud, but it's tethered. So the two earbuds are tied together. And as a result, we've been able to add an extra battery pack to the dongle, that sort of the control in the tether. So you get up to 8 hours of usage, which is different than an 8-hour battery life, because when you use it, it goes down to 3, right?
Oh, so the tethered gives you an extra battery pack. Plus, if they do fall out of your ear, they don't hit the ground, huh?
Yeah. And we have a cool system. It's called a T2, it's Estrom's T2 connector system. So if you prefer to not have Bluetooth, like a lot of people who meditate or who want big sound, you can get better sound out of a wired earbud. So plug it into your device. We have that capability. So it disconnects from the earbuds, and you can put the wired cable in and plug it into your device.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
The one that's coming off the line this week, now you called it the Curiosity Wireless G2. Why that name?
Well, Curiosity, just because that's one of our biggest value propositions, especially for when we're hiring. We want to always have people who are curious, but also our customer base is a curious group. That was one of the big identifiers we could find about them. They love to learn new things. They love to explore different podcasts and audiobooks, and generally they're on Zoom calls, so in school or working all day. And so this is just a group of people who have curious minds. And so we wanted to give a nod.
What's the G2? What is that?
Oh, that's so boring. It's just generation 2.
The
first ones were wired.
I see. So I guess I should have figured that out.
I should have been more creative about that, but
that's all right. G2 is mysterious. It's G2.
Let's keep it mysterious.
Can you get it in more? Can you get it in other colors besides yellow?
We have a champagne powder, because this was in the birth of Buderflys, came on the ski hills of Steamboat. So it was because I was had those Apple buds that you plug into your phone, the wired ones. And I had fallen asleep with them the night before, and I was going skiing on a powder day, and you want to get up as early as possible. And so I was so nervous I was going to miss the ski day, but I love listening to music when I'm skiing. So I actually broke them open, those Apple earbuds. I broke open that little clamshell and I put them in my kid's swimmer's wax. And it wasn't perfect. My hair got stuck in it and stuff, but the sound environment was super clean. I never, ever got that ache or that soreness, even though I had worn them the night before. And I was wearing a helmet, so they stayed super comfortable under pressure. So we did this. That's why that other color is a nod to champagne powder.
I see.
And it's it's this cool, icy white gray color. So
I don't see that on the website. Well, wait a minute. Is that what the color is on these? I'm looking at the website. Is that what the color of the G3 is, the wireless?
No, you'll see it. I hope there's not a problem with the website. You should, both colors are on the product page.
Oh, they are. Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm probably not looking in the right place. Okay. Okay. By the way, for the listeners, it's Buderflys.com. Buderflys.com. That's FLYS. Buderflys.com. Can people go there to like? Can they pre-order? What are we doing right now on the website?
So we are still in pre-order. You can pre-order right now. I mean, it is about a week out before we'll be able to ship them. But yeah, we're ready to go. We've had actually. So that's the coolest news, is that we were able to sell a ton. We're almost sold out in our first production run.
What?
Just in pre-order, which is
nice.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. It shows that we've like addressed a market need that was needed out there, right? There was a pain point in this space and we've addressed it. So that was really reassuring. And the worst thing in the world is that I can't ship these today because,
well, maybe, I don't know, it's, you're creating this like, oh man, I can't wait to get those. Oh man, it's like, oh, these are hard to get. These are, I got to wait for them. I mean, some of that creates the excitement around it, I think, a little bit. Maybe it ended up being a good thing for you. Who knows? Yeah.
I mean, I agree, like that can, I mean, this is unintentional, but that can create a lot of excitement. But you also, I mean, my team and I have been able to wear these. They're so, and all the alpha testers have been wearing them and they're so incredibly comfortable. I want to get them to as many people as possible. So
I understand. Yeah, no, I totally understand. When are the other ones coming out? The wireless?
So the wires right now, we're doing actually a round of funding to get them out sooner. We've done a ton of development work this year on that earbud, and right now we're looking at November.
Okay.
Release them.
Well, now that you got revenue, though, you don't have to raise as much cash, right?
Hopefully. Yeah, that's nice. I mean, hardware is a little expensive because you have to pay cash up front, right? And there's a lot of supply chain issues. So one of the things we've been doing is putting money down on the components that we need so that we have them ready for the holiday. Like the chip. I don't know if you've heard about the crisis with the chips, the microchips out in the world right now.
Oh, what? No, I'm sorry. I'm behind on that news. What's up? What's the deal?
So there's a huge demand for these microchips that are essentially made from only a few places in the world. And everyone is trying to get them. Luckily, we were able to secure enough for our first launch of the next release and for the remainder of this year. But it was a little touch and go there for a bit. Okay.
But I mean, hey, you're I mean, they're coming off the line. You're shipping on the 25th, I think you said. I mean, that's good news. Plus, you got all these pre-orders. You're almost sold out of your first batch. You're trying to raise enough cash to get your G3 released. I mean, man, I know we hit the pandemic and there was some supply chain issues, but it sounds like things are going okay, right?
Yeah, things are awesome. And we have just such an incredible team, and we were able to do all of this with like a lean, very savvy team. And we had an all hands meeting last week for planning. And it was just so cool to sit around and be like, oh God, you guys did this. This is amazing. That's pretty cool.
Right. All right. Because it was how many years in the making to get to launch in a what is it, next week? I guess next week. Yeah. How many years in the making to get to delivery next week?
So the first 3 years we really worked on product market fit, establishing the brand, making sure that there was a need in the marketplace for this, doing all the IP around it. And then this is a new invention, nothing that's ever existed on the market. So it took us 3 years to get to this point.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Yeah. Wow. But that's how it goes. And we're really proud of what we've accomplished, and it's cool.
How did Shea survive? Remind me, how did you survive? Would you eat ramen noodles every day? You got family and kids. What's going on? How did you survive 3 years?
I mean, it's funny. I think I might have told you this last time, but when I started this, I sat my husband down. Like, he was like, I needed someone to bounce it off of, and also it impacts him because I was no longer getting a salary.
Right.
And I was like, hey, 2 things I was thinking, like, one, go back and get a PhD in economics, which I love. Or I could start Buderflys and, let's see where it goes. And he's like, well, we're already paying for your last graduate program. So why don't why don't we do this? And now he's like, okay, I really shot myself in the foot with that one because this is way more expensive, you know? So, yeah, no, it's rough. I mean, it's not easy. We've been, I mean, amazingly blessed because we got awarded the $250,000 grant from 𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐻, the state of Colorado, which is just the coolest program in the world. And we've had, you know, and I don't know, I've done well over my career. So we
had a little cash, had a little cash saved up. Did you?
Yeah.
I forgot from our first conversation. Did you raise a seed round, or did you get some early investors too?
Yeah, so we raised a small pre-seed round, which we closed in April 2020. So right in the heart of the shutdown and the pandemic. So we felt very blessed. We actually oversubscribed that round, which was really nice and unanticipated. Hey
guys, I know it's a pandemic and I'm starting a brand new company making something that's never been made, but can you give me a bunch of money?
Yeah. If you say it that way, it would have made me a year ago, I would have been really nervous. Like, let's not talk about it that way. We did.
You raised cash in April of 2020 for a brand new business. That right there deserves some sort of like award or something.
I know. I'm glad you said that because it felt like pretty touch and go. Because, you know, understandably, tons of investors at the time were like, we don't know what's going to happen. The stock market's crashing. We got to hold onto our cash. And still people at the last minute were like, okay, we're in. I was like, oh, okay, all right, here we go.
So good. Of course, now, not to get too deep into your financials, but you'll be, you'll be burning cash, as they say, burning cash on the income statement for a while longer before you actually get to profitability. What do you think on profitability? You think, hey, you're good at economics. You probably got it all mapped out. What are you thinking? Next year after? What do you think?
So we can be break even by next June based on our prediction. That does entail a capital raise.
Cool.
But getting the next earbud out, which will add a different price point to our product set.
I saw that.
And so that helps a lot with sales because people always want a choice, right? Right now, their choice is the color difference. And we'll keep rolling with this product. We'll keep rolling new color schemes out and feature sets because we can update the firmware. So there'll be a lot more to come on this earbud, but the next one will also have a lot more features, primarily software hardware integration that's pretty sophisticated, that has a potential for another revenue stream down the line.
Okay. And are you gonna like try to tie something into the music labels or something? Are you gonna try to make some deals with did we talk about that? I mean, or am I having a brain cramp? You're gonna try to make some? Yeah.
So we have not on the music side because everyone else in the earbud space is going after the music side. While we sound really good with music, we really are all in on making those who are heavy earbud users address their needs. So we are more on the audiobook side. We have a partnership with a big audiobook company and with podcasters and so forth. So this is our
podcast deals with podcasters. Okay, well, guess what? I'm a podcaster. I think we need to talk after the show. Make a deal.
Yeah.
How does the audiobook deal? What is that? Is that like they put you on the website like our earbud of choice, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like we're under NDA, so we can't really talk about too much of the details, but it is primarily for us, it's a huge marketing play. Their parent company actually has an earbud and they went with us because of our focus on this space particularly, and the vetting they had done around us. So this is a perfect synergy between the two companies, if you will. I guess synergy is sort of cliche these days, but and so it's a really cool experience. And the CEO and founder of this company is an investor in us as well.
I think I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
Now, did this come from your contacts back in the music day? Did you reach into your Rolodex and call some powerful people you knew over at Warner or Sony or something like that?
Yeah, I wish that was it, but I actually just ran into the CEO at a bar in Telluride.
Oh, okay. You
I was,
never know what kind of doors can be opened at a bar, right? I mean,
I
come on, you
know.
never know.
I mean, he was in the back of the bar, and I was going to the bathroom, and I was like, oh, I ran into him. I was like, hey, I he is my mentor. Like, I'm like, you're my mentor, but you don't know me because he's written a bunch of books. And I built my product to make your product that much better. And
that was your opening line. Was that your opening line?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I had a glass of wine because otherwise I wouldn't have been so bold. But
I can just see this. The CEO's at a bar and he's like, "Who is this lady?"
Like, I know. He's like, "Oh, here it goes again."
Here we go. Here we go. Another earbud maker. Okay. Wow, that's a pretty cool story. I like that. I like that.
It was fun. It was cool. I mean, I thought for me, it was just exciting to be able to talk to him. And then it kept progressing, and now here we are. So that's pretty cool.
Now, do you know how many wannabe entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, they have no idea what kind of guts you have to be an entrepreneur, whether it's asking people for cash or approaching people in a scary situation or whatever, introducing yourself. Like, listen, if you're going to start a business and you're going to be an entrepreneur and you got to like open some doors and make some sales and make some, you got to be brave. I mean, you got to be able to walk right up to a CEO in a bar and be like, "Hey, my name's Shea. What's up? Let's talk."
It's either brave or crazy, right?
Right. A little bit of both.
I mean, you should coach me on this, but it's hard because you feel like everyone should be as scrappy as you are, but every hour I'm in an uncomfortable situation. I mean, there's never a time where I'm like,
right.
Oh, I just absolutely know what we're doing. Like 100%, right? Because we've invented something that doesn't exist. We had to invent the tooling system, right? That's totally different than what's on the market. And it's hard, there's tons of ups and downs. And the worst thing for me is the 3 a.m. wake up where I'm like, oh, I forgot this, or I must have done that wrong, or I could have done this better. And I'll say like one of my biggest challenges is Zoom calls when they go from like, there's a 60 seconds in between. I mean, you used to have like travel time in between meetings, right? So at least you could walk to the next meeting room. Now there's 60 seconds and you're like, okay, bye. And then the next one you're on, and they're totally different subjects, right? So you're switching between, hardware design, electronics, software design, finance, legal, like, it's not like you're like, oh, okay, these are all working together. Right.
Welcome to the world. Well, for all you listeners out there, welcome to the world of entrepreneurship right here. Here you go.
How do you coach your,
it's interesting you bring this topic up because I'm trying to get ready to go to do some vacation next week. My wife and I are going to take the camper and go up the mountains for a little bit. But my point on that was going to be, it's super emotional to do that as an entrepreneur, startup CEO. That is really hard to do emotionally. Like, it's really hard to go, okay, I'm not going to work for 4 days. That means who knows what could happen. I mean, and that means, you're not generating business. You're not making calls. I mean, I have a team, like we have 10 people now. We have 10 employees at Riderflex. And so I have a great team that's going to do a lot of things for me while I'm gone, but I still feel hyper emotional and sensitive around it because I'm not helping and being involved and doing my part. Right. So it is truly very emotional to be a startup CEO. It's probably the hardest part, really. I mean, okay, besides, making sure you don't run out of cash. So we all, let's set that aside. You got to make sure you don't run out of cash. But besides not running out of cash, the emotional piece around it and the stress around being a startup CEO, it's really just, it's hard to describe for people, right? Isn't it? I mean, people that you talk to on the street that haven't experienced it, it's like, you can't really, they don't get it.
No,
it's hard. I don't know. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I really don't know how I've been able to relax. I've learned a little bit more how to try to relax a little bit, but you're right. It's always there, that edge of whatever, you know, can happen, anything, right? Whether it's cash flow, clients, who knows? That sort of edge is always there. You
What
have
are
to just,
what's one or two things that you've found that helps relax you?
number one, alcohol.
Yeah. A glass of wine.
Number two, marijuana. No, I'm not. It's not just drugs and alcohol, but you know, I think you need to have a hobby. I guess my biggest piece of advice on that would be, what is your thing outside of your immediate family and work? Whatever your thing is, I think that's important. That would be my biggest piece of advice. I am a Jeep / trail riding camper guy. So I'd love, like, I will get in my Jeep and just go for a full Saturday and just get away. And so that's my thing. And I think whatever your thing is, whether you're a golfer or a bowler or a painter, or, you know, you like to fish or whatever, I think you need to have some sort of activity that forces you to turn off the laptop and get away and kind of shut your cell phone off for a little bit. I think that's key.
Yeah.
And so that would be my biggest thing, is you got to do that. And I will do that. Like I will get up from my desk on a Friday afternoon at 1, and I will pack my tent and Jeep, and I'll go for 2 days. And when I come back, I just feel totally refreshed because I'll get away from the phone. You have to kind of force yourself to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's key. That's key. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I think about it, and we skied all winter. I mean, despite the fact that, you know, it's challenge, and that is just my little slice of heaven. And now I have to find something for the summer.
You need to find something, because your kids are younger, aren't they?
They're younger, but this was like the first year they could ski. They could go on any run with us. It was awesome. So fun.
Okay. It's hard to have a hobby as an adult when you still have young children at home, because
it is hard,
because they're doing stuff. And so anytime you do have off, it's usually with them. And so that makes it super difficult.
That is a challenge. I mean, I would say, like, right now I have to focus on, because they're in sort of the sweet spot right now. And so I have to focus on hanging with them before they don't want to hang with me. So yeah, I mean, that is the thing, but I agree that I mean, even when you're stressing about taking vacation, it is so critical, because I think it gives you a different mindset. Like, you just have to get out of, because especially when you're a CEO of a new company, you are going from visionary to tactical, you know, within the same hour, right?
Absolutely.
And like going on a long hike or going on a long, you know, ski, I like to tele ski, so like we can hike up and stuff. It just means the world to me, because I get better thinking, you know, and even if I focus on business, and I just love business, but I like that changing your mindset experience, and you don't get it if you don't take breaks, right?
I totally agree. I think part of the key there is turning off the input. You know, you're in a situation where a lot of times your cell phone's not working, you don't have your laptop open, and so your mind can relax enough to think, just think and relax about things. And so I'll do the same thing. If I'm in the mountains by the campfire or on a trail, I come up with all kinds of great ideas for work, because I'm relaxed enough to think about it, and I don't have stuff jamming towards me, you know, whether it's an email or a phone call or whatever, and I can just relax my brain. And my partner always hates it, because I'll come back from the mountains on a Sunday afternoon. I'll be like, "Hey man, I got 10 new ideas."
Totally. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And I recently, I guess it's been about a year, I got an executive coach. And I did it one time when I was like at a higher up company where the company was paying for it. But it's been awesome. Like, just because being able to chat through like the chatter that happens in your head.
Yes.
And there's no, you know, it's not like, I have an amazing co-founder partner, and she's awesome, but sometimes you need to work through all of those details that's happening in your head before you say them out loud. Right. And that's a way to do it, where you're in like sort of safe space. Plus my coach is just brilliant. So it's awesome to talk to him. You know, I really appreciate that.
I've had lots of entrepreneurs on the podcast that do have a coach, and they all say it's well worth it. Matter of fact, I've never interviewed anybody on the podcast that said it wasn't worth having a coach. Everybody.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
everybody that's had one.
And I mean, I would like to do it, but I've not ever gone to therapy or anything like that. And it's not like that, but I will say this is just awesome. Now I want to like a therapist. I want to do everything. Right.
Because you need somebody to talk to, you know, as a startup CEO, because you can't talk to the team about everything. Right. I mean, you just can't. It's not like you're trying to hide stuff from them. You just can't. You can't, show that you're worried or whatever. You got to remain confident in front of them. This is why, it's interesting, right? My wife she'll see some sort of like notification on the radio or TV about how much a CEO makes. And she'll say, I can't believe these CEOs are making this much money. And I'll say, listen, it's a super stressful job. Like, I kind of get it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand the amount of pressure.
I know.
Right.
I know. Yeah.
I was going to ask you real quick. I wanted to go. I almost forgot the stuff you're building with your earbuds. Do you have is there like a patent protected? Like, how are you going to, speaking of being stressed, how are you going to stop the competition? How are you going to like stop somebody from like copying this thing?
It's funny. I was just on a podcast about IP. I mean, we are submitting a bunch of IP. We have the strategy we are going after is we have this sort of broad umbrella IP, which is the continually pliable earbud that squishes in your ear, right? So no one else has that. Okay. And then from there, we shore up. I mean, we have some pretty sophisticated technology inside that we're going after, our software hardware integration. So that's, that's in the realm of like the Rings and the Nests of the world. Okay. I mean, we're not home doing anything for the home, but and so we are, and it's very expensive, right? And so, but we have chosen to go down this path. Some people don't because it's just so expensive. And then all you're doing is setting up yourself for a good defense. Like, I have an incredible attorney who knows this space, but I've chosen her specifically because we need to be defensible, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Or, in the future, we do hope to become acquired, and I hope to become acquired so that we're still run independently, but we have the backing of a big company, so we can grow even bigger than we want.
Is that the goal? So that's what you want. You want Apple to do that, or whoever, whatever. Google.
I mean, Apple would benefit from us because their earbuds are so uncomfortable. No, just me. But yeah, I mean, this would be one of those where we could, Unilever, how Unilever buys and lets the company run by itself, like that would be ideal. Okay. And they're so socially responsible and environmentally responsible. Like, I would just love those guys, right? Also, hearing aid companies, I think a year ago, I was predicting that the hearing aid industry would change because the Supreme Court passed a ruling that you no longer had to buy hearing aids over the counter. Through a physician, you could now buy them over the counter. So people a year ago would ask me, hey, who do you guys want to be acquired by? And the hearing aid companies have big money. That's medical industry, right? But they're going to lose market share because of this. So they need a D2C company that can be worn comfortably for long periods of time, right? Mm-hmm. And so last week, Sennheiser's headphone division was bought by a hearing aid company. I was like, I called it.
Would you sell? Would you? But you wouldn't sell right now, would you?
No. Yeah, we're having so much fun. It's so intense, but it is every day. Like, I wake up, even if I woke up all night, like worrying about something, which is such a stupid human behavior, by the way. But I'll say, if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? And every time my answer is, this is what I do. I can change if I want, right? If I know that CEO.
Speaking of getting stressed, I got to tell you about my new favorite line to calm my stress. My new favorite thing. I heard this the other day. Somebody told me, they said, there's like 7 billion people on the planet, or whatever, 7 point whatever. I don't know what the latest stat is. Because, it's like 7 billion people on the planet. And he goes, within 100 years, all current 7 billion will be dead. It's like,
wow, that is a really good point.
I'm like, let me just let that sink in for a minute. I was like, okay, so what you're saying is like on the big scheme of things, I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
It's like it was his whole point, because we were talking about being stressed and stuff. And I was
Yeah.
like, I was like, man, I never really thought about it like that.
I mean, there has to be a way. Like I was talking about it, like stress and worry, right? Those are human constructs.
Yes.
But they're not necessary, right? And like if you could be the perfect compartmentalizer where you're like, okay, I'm going to deal with this thing right now. And then I just switch to the next thing, and that's it. It's very Buddhist, right? I got to master this. Then I'm just doing the next thing. And then it's 6 o'clock and I'm just hanging with my kids and my husband, right? And that's when
you figure that out, come back to the podcast. We'll sell it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Or maybe you could coach me through it. Let's find Rinpoche or some Buddhist.
By the way, speaking of selling, I mean, you definitely want to, because once you get revenue generated and you start having a couple of years of revenue, then you really become even more valuable. Yes, we had a phone call the other day to Riderflex, a company called, and was talking to Scott and I about acquiring Riderflex.
Oh, that's awesome. It's flattering.
Well, it's flattering, but I mean, she says, she goes, well, have you ever just wanted to give up being a business owner, the pains of being a business owner, and like, just be an employee again? And this was my answer to her. I said, if I ever have to send another email to ask somebody if I can leave the office early on Friday to go camping, I'm going to shoot myself in the head. So the answer is no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So when you get acquired, you need to have these deals. You need to be like, look, technically I report to you, but not really.
Yeah. Right. That's funny because my co-founder, Sarah, April, everyone reports to her, even me. I'm like, because I just need someone else to talk to. So
that's what's going to happen though, Shea. On a serious note, you're going to get this thing going. You're going to get some revenue under your belt. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to get acquired, and then we'll be talking later on, a couple of years from now, whatever, 2 or 3 years from now, we'll be talking, and you'll be bored because you'll be sitting around. You'll be going to your kid's soccer game or whatever, and you're gonna be like, I think I want to start something else.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
I know that's a problem. I mean, that's the catch-22. I'm like, okay, now what's next? Let's get it going.
Right.
Right.
Congratulations on your progress since you were on the show last. Super happy for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's awesome.
Buderflys.com. That's with FLYS, Buderflys.com, just to make sure we're all on the same page. You can go there. You can pre-order, and you might want to, she said she was almost out of the first batch. So if you're going to go, you might want to go to the website like now, because if not, you're going to be waiting a while.
We'll try not to wait too long though.
Yeah, I'm not going to have to wait too long. Thank you, Shea. Really appreciate you being on the show.
For having me. I appreciate it.